Good afternoon, everyone. We are Group 5, and today we are going to be talking about the student tracking software and how science, technology, and society plays a key role in making the student tracking software work. So first, let's talk about what the student tracking software is. From the name itself, the student tracking software is a software that reveals common important information of a student before making an application. Now, usually the information revealed by the student tracking software includes the name of the student, the address of the student, his ethnicity, his contact information, and his personal interests. The student tracking software is used by universities to check a student's interest in studying a university program. Now, in student tracking softwares, universities check the student's interest in studying at the said university through the process of checking their personal interests and their annual income, all without the knowledge of the prospective students. Again, from the name itself, the student tracking software works like a tracker, which in this case tracks the movement of the student within the website itself using cookies. Now, this is what happens within the software. The software displays which specific university pages the student visits at that time and how much time the student spends at each page. The university then uses this information to determine the probability of the student in accepting or even enrolling at the said university.
There are various factors and events as to why the student tracking software was introduced. Many secondary schools use tracking to describe a way of grouping students based on their perceived aptitude, IQ, or accomplishment levels. It was first used in the 1930s and has been part of a heated debate for the past 20 years. The student tracking was introduced due to the teachers, schools, ministries, and parents who want to be kept up to date on their students' academic development regularly and frequently. Such factors include improving the students' and teachers' assessment. Under these are to collect and analyze data on prospective students and to try to identify which students were unlikely to complete their degrees. Another key factor is that tracking helped to implement adaptive learning practices. Under these are to determine the progress of a particular learner by subjects, to determine the student's grade point average, to collect the average performance of students across disciplines, and to determine the study progress over the period.
So in this slide, I am going to talk about the ethical dilemmas that the student tracking software poses. So there would be 3 ethical dilemmas. These includes number 1, the violation of privacy, number 2, the informational security concern, and lastly is the depriving of one's freedom rights. So the student tracking software raises ethical dilemmas, for there are 2 courses of actions considered between that of the schools and the student's perspective. So as for number 1, the violation of privacy, the student tracking software raises privacy concerns of students since they are being tracked wherever they are located, which falls against their privacy. As for number 2, the informational security concern, this raises security concerns in terms of data privacy, as the students are required to share their personal information and that these will be connected to the software, which means that the data collected will be connected online. And lastly, for the depriving of one's freedom rights, due to this software, students are being controlled, thus taking away their freedom of rights. Added to this, students are compelled to use technology. With that, they are being deprived of having choices since they are required to be tracked as it is one of the school's premises. So that would be all for the ethical dilemmas that the student tracking software poses.
Moving on, after knowing the ethical issues, there should be arguments regarding to it. Questioning the moral and ethical issues on the student tracking software is significant for the security and efficiency of it. Tracking students allows schools to gain information. However, in what extent it should be. It is one example with how it concerns the personal privacy and awareness of the student being tracked. Again, it is important to question the moral and ethical issues of it as it might be used without minding the morality of the individual. Gaining information might result to a potential harm rather than being benefited by this. There should be a consideration of how this might be effective and beneficial while avoiding damage and lowering risks. There is a saying that says, "It is better to be safe than sorry."
So, considering the student tracking software, why is it important to study STS? So, what is STS? It is science, technology, and society. It is an interdisciplinary field that studies the conditions under which the production, distribution, and utilization of scientific knowledge and technological system occur. So, for me, based on my own understanding about STS, I'll take it as it's more of a about the modern technology and then modern science. So I can say that it's important to study STS considering the student tracking software. So why is it important? Technology, science, and knowledge are important in modern contemporary society. Studies of technology and science gives insight into the understanding and knowledge of technology, science, and knowledge from the viewpoint of the humanities and the social sciences. So, in these days, the technologies keeps on evolving and upgrading. So, with this like this, we have the student tracking software, which is an upgrade in academic level or academic tracking of students. So it is very important to study STS as so that we will not be new to something like this, the new technology and the new science, in which we can use to be more effective using the new technologies. So I think it's very important to study STS so we can say that we cannot be ignorant to this knowledge as we have already studied some of the basics and some of the histories and new technological in knowing the new technological systems. I guess that's all. Thank you.